Hello, hello. I am back. Can you guys see me and hear me? Can you guys see me and hear me? Hello, hello. Hi. Happy Friday. Oh, happy Friday. Thank you for being here. It's a good Friday. It's a good Friday. I'm already feeling good. Everybody's feeling good. Happy Friday. Hello. We're all here. New day. Let's get into it. I have multiple lives planned for today. Let's get to it. We have 3 lives and a Melly After Dark. And we're just gonna get right through it, babes. Right through it. Please hit the like button on your way in. Turn on the notifications because YouTube be doing me dirty sometimes. And hello, please, please, please make sure you do turn on the notifications. We will be live multiple times today, and we will be doing a Melly After Dark. So you definitely don't want to miss it. Hello, hello. We are back, just gonna hang out and listen to some Nancy Grace review. I wanted to do a little bit of an update on the David D4D, whatever his name is, David K. Celeste Rivas. I wanted to go through some Reddit post and I wanted to react to the Nancy Grace video that she did. But hello, let me say hi to everyone. We're just having a good time. Next, we have Brian Koberger. I don't know if I can get through that reading today, but we're going to get through some of it. And then we have Gypsy Rose. Tomorrow is a Kenzie day. So tomorrow we will be doing 3 Kenzie lives, Snapchats, messages, and I have a phone call live to get through. So I will be dropping a video today, though, 2 other calls from the Mackenzie saga. If you missed the last video, please, please, please go and rewatch. It really helps if you guys go back and replay the videos and the older playlist. I do see a lot of people commenting on my Ashley Bocanegra case, and I am one of the few creators that has covered that in depth. I did receive all of that through FOIA, and that is a very dear and special case to my heart. So I'm going to be doing a redo of that because I did start that series when my channel just started, and I want to go, now that I'm more experienced, I want to go through it again. So definitely don't knock the playlist. Please, please, please support and go check out. Hitting the like button helps, hitting the hype button helps. And hello, I will get started on this live. Like I said, we're going to go through a couple posts from Reddit. I was going to go through a timeline, but I think we've already done that on here. So I might just do like an updated review of the timeline. And then, like I said, I want to react to Nancy Grace. I know Nancy Grace is not everyone's favorite, but Nancy Grace be out there doing her thing. So we're going to play her video that she just did about a day ago and like watch it and react. There's 2 of them actually, one from Law and Crime and one from Nancy Grace. So anyways, let me say hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. Evie said, hello, Debbie, Cree's Amazing Life. Hello, hello, Alsane. Hello, Vanjie. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Melanie looks beautiful. Thank you. Don't mind my eyebrows. I just got them retouched. I love Nancy. I know. Me too. I just got them redone. So just bear with me. Happy Friday. Thank God. I know. I'm ready to party it up, yo. If you know what a Melly After Dark is, you already know. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready to have a good time. It's been a good day. Good news. Just all around. Let's keep the positive vibes because there's a lot of fuckery out there on YouTube. With that being said, let's get started. I saw abuelitas. I know. I'm just sick of thank you. Thank you. Yes, you look good. Oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet. I love you guys so much. I haven't covered this David case in a minute. I think the last update I did was like maybe a month or 2 ago. I feel sick to my stomach when I cover this case because I'm like, hello, how have you not arrested anyone? What the hell is going on? I don't understand it. I don't understand what it is, but I think some of these clips that we will cover tonight or today will explain that. I have a law and crime one that I want to go through and then a Nancy Grace one. So let's see what we can get through. But there was 2 posts that I saw. And hey, Flojo TV, good to see you. I love Nancy. Yeah, I know. Me too. I do love Nancy. I need to get my glasses. Get them glasses on. And yeah, hit the like button for your girl, please. Okay, so I totally feel the same way. Yeah, I'm sick of this. Is like I think they know what happened, but I don't think they can build a case. But I know there's a grand jury, so maybe they are building a case. I know there was an investigative grand jury, and that's someone who they decide if there's going to be subpoenas put out there. But I'm just wondering where David is. Like, is he in LA? Is he hiding out at his parents' house? What is the deal? What is going on? So let me pull up um the post that I saw on Reddit. I like the David Reddits. There's good information on there. But I did want to share this. Can someone tell me what the helly is going on here? Like, what is this? I just wonder, someone who's into this kind of stuff. I'm not judging. Don't come for me. If you're into gore and like snuff type shit, then fine. But I just feel very weird about this. Like the blood. I I guess his music is like all right. I'm not a big David fan or whatever his name is, D4VD. Which is it? I've covered this case extensively. Okay, Flojo, I'll have to check it out. Thanks for being here. I have seen you in other chats and I do know you know a lot about this. So I'll have to go in there and look at your stuff. And the amount of evidence that is right? That's how I feel too. What's taking so long? What's the problem? What's the holdup? Here's my opinion. I think that there's obviously more than one person involved. I think that, and that's just my opinion. I think there was definitely more than one person involved, whether it was unaliving her or concealing her body in that trunk. But I saw this on the Reddit post and I was like, this is disturbing. Like, I know he's just making a video, but if you've seen his stuff, I've always said that I thought it was like a snuff kind of thing here. YouTube probably won't like that I'm saying that word, but whatever, it's true. I feel like it's been that kind of type of thing, no? Or maybe he was obsessed with her. I don't know. Things get weird. I also wanted to show this. Found this clip of David in freestyle battle with his brother. I just want to play some of these things on the Reddit and then we'll move on to the Nancy Grace. Well, actually, there's a law and crime one that was really good. So let me pull that up. That was so I'll definitely probably be playing both of them just so we get a little bit of an update. I haven't done an update because I don't know what to believe anymore. There's a grand jury. There's not. He bought an incinerator. It just seems like too much drama going on with this case. What if that is all her blood? That was what I was thinking. Yes, I do have an email. I'll drop it right now. That's what I was thinking. I thought, what if that was all her blood? That's just creepy, man. Creepy. Okay, I wanted to play this clip really quick because I thought this was very interesting. I'm gonna shoot him where he laying. I'm gonna shoot him while he down. Make his body hit the ground. I'm gonna murder all my friends. Call me Melly in the town. I'm not getting indicted. I'm shooting him on sight and what? He gonna pull up and deny it. I'm not testifying in court. Hey, Your Honor, I did not buy it. I did not even try it. I just wanted to rely it. Do you guys hear what he says in this? He says, I'm not going to get indicted. I don't think that, what is that? Do you listen to the lyrics? I'll probably get flagged on this, but whatever. On the pavement, I'm gonna shoot him where he laying. I'm gonna shoot him while he down. Make his body hit the ground. I'm gonna murder all my friends. Call me Melly in the town. I'm not getting indicted. I'm shooting him on sight and what? You gonna pull up and deny it. I'm not testifying in court. Hey, Your Honor, I did not buy it. I did not even try it. I just wanted to rely it. Sometimes I think like rappers and artists that do this kinds of thing, like in their lyrics, there's always a story, right? I don't know if that was about Celeste. I don't know when that came out, but I did catch that on this Reddit. I really been liking these Reddit posts because there's a lot of updates. So this one, he had to get his car detailed, exclaims, but I am alive at the end. Let's play this one. Can I play this one? Yeah.
Cars at the detailer getting that smoothie out. I got bit by a mosquito. My announcement is delayed. I gotta get an Uber. Half my shoes are dirty, but I'm alive.
Interesting. Guy thinks he's cute with his veneer smile. Some people say that these were Celeste shoes in this picture that he was cleaning. I think we've seen this picture before. Can I play that? Oh, it's not a video, it's just a picture. I just wonder what the hell he was were those Celeste shoes or were those his? Hey D and hey Anton. Love your hammer. Like, thank you, thank you. This investigation is taking a long time. I agree. It's taking way too long. Interesting. Interesting post there. Yeah, you know what, David? I don't know how I feel about all that. This says it is on this date, January 2nd, is the last sighting of SF investigates from the D4 the David. This is the last known sighting of her. You know what? RIP. Justice for Celeste. This is so messed up. This is so messed up. He has the same pair. So they were twinsing. I see. That's just really interesting. You know, Celeste wasn't a runaway. I do want to clear that up. Her family knew where she was and what she was doing. So that I think is an important factor. That's my opinion only, but according to SF Investigates,
Hey, Logan Paul, my boy.
I think there's too many telling signs. Let's start over.
To the forest. I remember the last time a YouTuber went to the forest. Hey, Logan Paul, my boy. That surgery will probably give me mental problems. I already got them. Give me more. I already electrocuted. I'm trying to get electrocuted for it. I think that's the best way to go out. Electric chair.
That's the best way to go out. Electric chair.
I remember the last time a YouTuber went to the forest. Hey, Logan Paul, my boy. That surgery will probably give me mental problems. I already got them. Give me more. I already electrocuted. I'm trying to get electrocuted for it. I think that's the best way to go out. Electric chair.
And then it says David has seemingly been dropped from his record label, Dark Room. Says Dark Room Records is a forward-thinking, full-service record label with a focus on artist development, creative strategies, and fan engagement. Dark Room Records is a driving force behind the careers of leading music artists from around the world. So I guess he was dropped, according to this post. So what is up with D4VD in a second car? The Tesla wasn't David's. Robert lived with David and it was under his name. So did David have another car? Did he not? Was he using Robert's car? The red Tesla was a 2025 Model Y that was kept in the garage of David's rental home in Hollywood Hills. It was described as his clean second car in contrast to the abandoned Tesla where the body was discovered. The red Tesla was reportedly driven away from the property by David's manager around the time the singer left the LA mansion during the time. It says, I also read law enforcement sources indicate that David owned several vehicles. Nonetheless, you guys, like, whoever was involved or not, like, at the end of the day, they knew there was people around him that knew she was a minor. So that in itself is a problem already for me. People knew she was a minor and what was going on. I don't deny that for 1 second. Let's see. There is a timeline that I want to go through. Steve Fisher says now it's murder. We're going to watch that. Celeste, last known alive location. This is where she was in that picture that we saw at the beginning. This one, which I believe SF Investigates was the one who curated this. I haven't seen anyone consider the extortion aspect of the David case. I'm wondering if Celeste family used her relationships with David to extort him. So like I said, they knew she was a missing girl, but she wasn't actually missing, you guys. Her family knew where she was. Her family knew about David and she came back home. So she wasn't a missing person. PISD Fisher on hoodie in the last pic of Celeste, how often David took pics of her and lost security cam footage. Saw this on Reddit in the hoodie circle, not the one Celeste is wearing in the picture. SF says it is very likely, but there was a couple different color variations of the same hoodie in the house and probably different sizes. He has been on top of this case since the beginning. How frequently would he take pictures of her? How often on average? SF says not very often. He appeared to keep her out of the photos when other people and friends were around. We're going to read this. We're going to watch this Nancy Grace video. I guess this is her grave site, which is terrible. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know people have some feelings about Steve Fisher, but the Celeste thing trips me out. It trips me out too. I'll probably get electrocuted for it. Exactly. Augie, exactly. I'm sorry, he sucks. I can rap as good as he does. And where the hell is her family? Yeah, exactly. People feel some type of way about Steve. I personally and don't knock me for it. We're all welcome to our own opinions here. You know that. You know, my channel has always been open to differing opinions and we like to talk about it. I feel like maybe he's a little bit of a fraud, but like Flojo said, if it weren't for him, we would know absolutely nothing about this case. And I don't want to knock him for some stuff, you know, just because of this case. Like he still, I think, does a good job overall. He speaks in the clip we're going to watch about how he was called to court on some case. It's very suspect of it all. And they wouldn't tell him what it was about. More evidence to suggest David allegedly started this physical relationship with Celeste in 2023. Videos of him crying. Why is he crying? Yeah, I don't really know why he's crying there. Interesting. Steve Fisher investigation states among having a burn cage and a chainsaw, there were respirators there too. And I haven't covered this case since the whole incinerator thing. And, you know, having a bunch of things that makes it look like you did something to a human body is quite telling. I don't just have that shit lying around in my house. So I guess if you do, let me know. Did something happen at Coachella or right after? His second day at Coachella. Is that Celeste right there? Kind of looks like her, huh? Or maybe that one other girl he was seeing. Oh, I thought I could play that. Cross on his Palm album release today. He was into some dark stuff. I think we can all agree on that. Cries for the first time performing Afterlife. So these are the dates. 420 performs his second day at Coachella. Celeste last like on Instagram. Cross on his Palm album release day. Cries for the first time performing Afterlife. Cries on stage at album release show in Houston. Why is he crying so much? Why is he crying so much? And I want to say something about her age and the whole dynamic behind that. Types DK repeatedly in Discord chat. So this is him, D4VD in Discord, 429 DK. Why would you do this? Like, why would you post this? Tesla spotted on Bluebird for the first time, 514. I don't want to victim blame. I absolutely do not want to victim blame, but it's hard not to. And I don't mean victim blame towards Celeste. I mean towards her family. Like, if they knew what was going on, why did they allow it? I have questions. She was very young when she started seeing David, allegedly. He's a weirdo, says Augie. I don't like him. I don't like him either. Some of his music, I won't lie, like I do like one of his songs. For Celeste, Suffer Little Children. I don't want to play that video because I might get
I showed it to my
copyright.
mother.
But
and
let's
she was
play
like,
this.
that song's too violent and too sad. After I made that song, I showed it to my mother. And she was like, that song's too violent and too sad. You're not releasing it. My son is not going to be talking about killing people in music. And I was like, I'm going to take that as a challenge, low-key, because like every time that she doesn't approve of something like that's art and stuff like that, it usually is a sign that I'm supposed to do it, low-key.
Killing people? For why?
I showed it to my mother. And she was like, that song's too violent and too sad. You're not releasing it. My son is not going to be talking about killing people in music. And I was like,
is he obsessed? Is he obsessed with death and gore? My opinion, like I told you guys at the beginning, is that I thought it was like a snuff thing. For reals, I did. I was thinking like, it's almost like he's taunting the police in public. Hey, Patty. Yeah, should have listened to his mother. I agree. She's been unalived for a year. The infamous clip of David telling on himself mid live stream. So let's watch.
Fake news, boo.
Yeah, she's been.
That when she first went missing, so
she's been unalived for like a year.
Fake.
That's David. David found defending himself on TikTok live on burner account. Listen to what he says.
When she first went missing, so
she's been unalived for like a year.
Fake news, boo.
Yeah, she's been unalived for like a year. And to clarify, your nose doesn't change shape without surgery. Yeah, your nose.
And now it's interesting, right? Whoever this is, they're saying she's been unalive for like a year, and now the body was only found 1 month ago. All right. And everybody's saying, oh, she probably passed away in August, maybe at the start of the year. Now, whoever this is, that sounds a lot like David, is saying, yeah, she was unalived a year ago.
It only grows, it doesn't.
No good. No good there. David had a slasher robe in July. Smile if you're horny, his shirt says. Oh, okay. Well, no. Slasher robe. See what I mean about the snuff stuff? And I definitely believe there was more than one person involved in this case. That is my opinion. Here's a girl that I think looked like Celeste. Yeah, my thoughts on this are very sus. David's manager, Josh Marshall, stole $250K from Skinny the Nine to start Mogul Vision. This person claims Josh Marshall took advantage of my hunger as a young artist and finessed me for $250K when I signed my deal to LA Reid, promised he would have my best interests. Instead, he pocketed $250K and used it to jumpstart this company. Look at what he's involved with now, the whole David situation. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, why they haven't arrested him, or what are they waiting for? I truly believe maybe they're building a case on more than one. Snuff movies are real. Absolutely. They are. There's a lot of it on the dark web. I have myself looked into it. Melanie, what are you doing on the dark web? I'm sure that the FBI and the police have already located me. Because I have to know, I have to know. I believe it was like a snuff thing. He's obsessed with gore, death, killings. He's messing around with a child. It says, I don't know if this has been talked about before, but the Withered album is so strange. I know Chop Lorlos has talked about the meaning based off a supposed book thing D4VD made, but it seems as if she died in the middle of him recording that album. There is a song called Somewhere in the Middle. I guess he could be saying she died in the middle of him making that album. The suspected voice of Celeste talking about the invisible string theory changes the whole mood of the album. It feels very dark in a way to me. This is weird D4VD find. Share a Coke with Josh, his manager. David was touring with SZA, working with Lil Nas X, romantic homicide hitting 1 billion streams, hoodies and cleanup supplies. Y'all remember when Steve Fisher said he saw a video of 2 people entering a Tesla carrying cleaning supplies. I think her body was moved around too from place to place. This was a picture that I originally started with because what the hell? Let's get into, so tell us. Maybe on Amelia After Dark I can. Let me pull up the video that I wanted to review from Nancy Grace today. This is what we're going to be watching. I know not everybody loves Nancy Grace, like I said, but I really do like her. She's a little harsh, but
Find something from the body or a witness.
There was some full respirators, almost like gas masks.
A home incinerator. I mean, who has a home incinerator? Have you seen those things?
I think we're going to see more than one person charged in this case.
I believe that her death could go back as far as January.
Breaking news tonight, D4VD.
Her death could go back to January, and they were just the body. And I've talked about this before about how maybe they can't tell what happened with the body or cause of death or not, but they were able to tell that she wasn't pregnant. So they were able to retrieve that from whatever tissues and blood from the decaying body in the trunk. So some stuff doesn't add up, quite frankly.
AKA David Allen Burke whines he has money woes. Boo-hoo!
I freaking love her, dude.
This is a grand jury homicide indictment looms. Timing. A home incinerator found still in the box at D4VD's home. Was it purchased at the time of Celeste's death? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. David is finally being considered as a suspect in the death teen girl Celeste found decomposing in his vehicle.
Was she dismembered? Was she frozen? Was she decapitated? What was going on in that household up to this homicide?
In the last hours, we learned that LAPD is focusing in on the time a home incinerator was purchased. Straight out to Professor of Forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of a hit podcast, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
A home incinerator. I mean, who has a home incinerator? Have you seen those things? They're huge. They're huge. Why do you need a home incinerator?
Yeah, the fact that there is a burn cage that's even being alluded to here, Nancy, is quite fascinating. And here's why. A burn cage can burn up to 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. Nancy, that's in the same neighborhood as an actual crematory, all right? With a crematory, which works on natural gas, it has to be sustained for about 2 to 3 hours. It can render down an entire human remain. All right. If that's the goal here with this thing, there are actually cases out there where burn cages have in fact been used to render down human remains. I'm not saying that that's what's involved here, but the fact there is one in such close proximity to where she was found is certainly, from an investigative standpoint, very compelling.
Joining us now, the man who actually...
Yeah, why would someone need a home incinerator? I don't know. I don't have one. Never thought about purchasing one. What do I need one for? Let me know in the chat if you have one. I'm going to share a picture that was just, thanks Flojo. Flojo TV just sent me a picture to my email, the bloody shirt. So let's see what this picture is, and then I'll go back to Nancy Grace. Oh, my bad. I didn't share it. Thought I did. Can I share it? Oh, it's telling me no. Oh, there we go. What the hell, dude? Just a blank shirt, and you see my hands are completely decimated. I wonder if this was Celeste's blood. I'm sure they could, well, not now. I was going to say maybe test it, but what is that? Like, who wants to do things like this? Unless you're into snuff, schmurder stuff. Freaky shit. Don't forget, January, we had the crazy wildfire out there in LA, so definitely no purpose for one. Plus, they are illegal to use in LA. Really, Flojo? Incinerators are illegal in LA? I should know this. I'm in California, close to the LA area, but I think the blood looks real. I don't know about you guys. He will say he was trying to save family. And, you know, it's interesting. We haven't heard anything from him. No one has seen him. Does anybody know where he is? I know he was in LA. He filed some court document in LA. I think Steve Fisher will talk about it. Or is he with his parents? I mean, this is creepy. Absolutely creepy. Okay, let's go back to the Nancy Grace episode.
First sees.
I just want to let you guys know that I will let Nancy Grace yell at me if I was ever on her show, which would be a dream. Nancy Grace, you can yell at me all you want, baby.
In the mansion of David Burke, D4VD. Joining me right now is a now renowned private investigator, Steve Fisher. Steve, I know that you were hired by the owner of the D4VD mansion to find out what the hay was going on inside the mansion after Celeste's body is found. Where did you see a home incinerator?
What this will be good. Also, bloody handprints on that big bloody floor in his house was way too red. Someone has to talk, essentially, right? Someone who was involved has to break and talk.
The home incinerator was actually inside the house. It wasn't even in the garage, and it was still packaged, but it's a 55-pound.
Wait, what the? Inside the house? Literally, what do you need a home? He said you can cremate someone. What do you need that? What do you need that in your home for? Like, you ain't making no fucking ribs in there. You know what I mean? Cooking some ribs. Unless they're human ribs.
Device, and which serves no purpose at that house. And so it immediately raised, huge alarm bells with us. And it, especially considering found in the Tesla, and you got to wonder what the plans were ultimately to maybe get rid of her permanently.
I got a question for you, Steve Fisher. You state that the home incinerator was still packaged. Did you take photos of it?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know what kind of incinerator it is, the name brand?
Yeah, it's made by a company called Dr. Burn. And, their whole advertisement is that it burns at 1,600 degrees. And, human cremations are done at 1,400 degrees. So this is meant to, reduce things, including animal carcasses and whatnot. And this is something you would typically find on a farm.
Well, maybe to dispose of evidence. I found the word Atami on the hair and one of the characters on the, yes, he's into that Atami stuff. Huh. Interesting. Hey, Lala, good to see you, love. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm tripping out what someone needs that in their home for, man.
I've got a question for you. Why are you saying it's used for animal carcasses? I'm not saying that it's not, but did you see anything on the package to inform you of that?
So as soon as we found it on the outside, it clearly says Dr. Byrne, and we went right to their website, and they're advertising, and other people's, using it on YouTube. It shows that's what it's for. Now, it's not just for animal carcasses. It can incinerate literally anything, but this is something that's not even legal in the Hollywood Hills because of the fire ordinances and whatnot. And then,
ooh, Flojo just told us that too. It's illegal in LA. That is creepy.
we also found it, with a chainsaw, and so there's just a lot of questions, and it's a horrible look.
So let me understand. Steve Fisher, hired by the owner of Burke's mansion where he was renting it, you find a home incinerator. What I find very critical, two things. If you go to the, as you're calling it, Dr. Byrne, it's original burn cage. There are YouTube videos about burning animal carcasses. So if I looked up home,
okay, is that like so deep and dark or what? Burning animal carcasses, like could they have used, allegedly, David have used that to dispose of evidence? Probably. Most likely what happened to Celeste.
Incinerator to burn carcass, that would pop up. Curious. So right there, and I'll circle back to you, Brian Fitzgibbons, there needs to be a full-on digital search as to whether that query was ever typed into anybody's phone, laptop, iPad, you name it. But okay, so I know that pops up. But what I find very critical, Steve, is the date of the purchase. For instance, let me just throw this at you. You remember Brian Koberger, of course, who goes on Amazon and buys a dagger, a K-bar knife that was used to murder 4 innocent University of Idaho students, and his Amazon search was uncovered. And
so if it was still in the box, I wonder if he had owned them before. Or maybe they attempted to hide evidence.
The purchase, and where he looked to buy a replacement after the murders. We know, for instance, cult mom Lori Vallow goes onto Amazon and buys a wedding dress, a groom's outfit, and a ring before her new husband's wife is killed. Amazon is a beautiful thing. So I'm curious, Steve Fisher, when the burn cage was purchased. We've heard about the burn cage. What we haven't heard about is, what does it prove? Is it probative? It was still in the package. It wasn't used to destroy her body. But if I can draw a nexus between the time of her death and the time that burn cage was purchased, I got something. What about it, Fisher?
Yeah, so we don't have the exact date, but it just so happened that on January 19th, the owner had an inspection done of the house. Was very thorough with photographs. At that time, we know that the burn cage was not at the house on January 19th. And so sometime between the 19th and, when the search warrant happened in September is when this arrived. And, it's also around the time that the new Tesla arrived on February 1st. So there seemed to be a lot happening at the end of January, beginning of February. But as of January 19th, it was not there. But after, as of September, it was there. So it appears it was ordered between those dates.
Okay, joining me, as I said, an all-star panel. Joe Scott, you've got a question for Fisher?
Hey, Steve.
Hold on. Joe Scott, I got to warn you about one thing.
I love Morgan at the bottom. I can't remember his.
So Scott,
Yeah.
isn't it true, Steve Fisher, that you were called in front of the grand jury? Can you confirm that?
I can't say anything about a grand jury.
Okay, well, if you had not been called, you would have said no. So I'm going to take that as a yes. You know,
I love Nancy Grace. I truly do.
I got a funny feeling that the prosecutor is going to be extremely irritated with you because you found evidence that the LAPD had not found yet. And I'm referring specifically to the Tesla with the dead body in the trunk of a little girl, Celeste Rivas. You found that and you scoured the neighborhood and got the Ring doorbell cam and the surveillance cam and could show that the car was being moved around the neighborhood so nobody would complain it's parked out in front of their house. You even caught one of the driver's face. You still haven't revealed to me who that is. And LAPD or the DA's office didn't find any of that. So I guess she's a little ill with you right now. That said, I have a source telling me you were called in front of the grand jury, whether you confirm it or deny it. Okay, Joe Scott.
I wonder who that was a picture of in that he has. Was it the manager? I kind of assume that because of the manager being called into this, you know?
Point being, he may not be able to answer some of our questions, but have at it.
I'll try to make it as general as possible. Hey, Steve, Joseph Scott Morgan. I got a question for you. I've been through this area before, only as a tourist. I could never afford, to even know anyone there. High dollar area. If you rent a place up there, it would seem odd that it would be incumbent upon that person to do their own landscaping work. And I'm fascinated about this chainsaw and this idea that I'm sure the shrubs are lovely. Are you, and you've got this, from what I'm understanding, an unopened chainsaw there. What would be the purpose of someone having this thing, and when did it show up?
That's a good question because it's a wealthy neighborhood. He has money. We know David isn't out there chainsawing trees.
Well, so you nailed it exactly. So because I've heard some people say that, well, people have chainsaws to do yard work and trim trees. This was a rental that the owner was completely in charge of all the maintenance, including the pool, the tree trimming, everything. That this was plug and play. They didn't have to do any of their own yard work. So there's no reason for it to be there. And it showed up again after January 19th. It was not there because there was photo documentation of that walkthrough of the inspection, annual inspection. So it showed up after, between, the time of the search, January 19th and the time of the search warrant. But you're absolutely right. They're not responsible for any of that maintenance, and can't think of any reason that they would need a chainsaw there.
Joining us now, Melissa McCarty, investigative journalist.
I don't have a chainsaw. Do you guys?
Journalist and author of The Making of a Crime Reporter. Melissa, thank you for being with us. You have a question for Fisher? Go ahead.
I do. Hey, Steve, two questions for you. One is, who were the two items addressed to? Was it the owner of the house or somebody else? And also, it's my understanding the LAPD, they did not take those items as evidence, but do you know if there was any kind of brushing of fingerprints to see if David or somebody else in his inner circle at one point laid their hands on those boxes or collected those boxes, touched them to link the two?
Very good question.
Yeah, FloJo, I have a gardener who comes weekly. Facts.
So they did not take the items. We contacted them and asked them specifically about it, and they told us that they photographed them, but they did not fingerprint them. And there was no dust or anything on them, and they didn't appear to luminol them either because they hadn't been removed from the packaging. So as far as who they were addressed to, they were addressed in a fake name, somebody that did not live at the residence, but
they were addressed to a fake name? What? I did not know that part.
accepted the packages at the residence. And we believe, just from the investigation we've been able to do, that they used prepaid gift cards to purchase the items.
Wait. They used prepaid, so they were hiding something. Oh, Nancy's about to flip out.
Wait, you're giving me all new information. Wait a minute. Are you telling me, have you told anybody else this? Are you telling me the home incinerator was addressed to a fake name, but somebody in that house accepted the package?
Yes. Correct.
How do you know that? Did you see the name?
Yes.
What was the name? How do you know it was fake?
Well, when I say fake name, it's somebody that does not live at the residence. It's the name of a female that does not live at the residence. Yeah, they accepted, they signed.
A female that does not live at the residence. You guys know my opinion of this case. I definitely don't think D4VD acted alone. That is my theory. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investigator, but that's what I truly think.
For the package through DHL.
Oh, I'm learning so much right now. Okay, so this guy did not go run down to Home Depot and buy a home incinerator. That means somebody went online, Steve Fisher, and ordered it. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I'm sure those records are very subpoenable.
Okay, you know, Danny Rubin joining me right now, veteran criminal defense attorney, founder of...
I know people have a feeling about Steve Fisher, but I don't think he's lying here.
The Rubin Law Firm. Danny, thank you for being with us tonight. I was ill. I was getting a chest pain that was radiating up into...
A fake name. I'm sorry, guys. That's sus. That is sus. Why was there tape on a box that had been opened? My family has a farm and uses incinerators for large dead animals. I don't think David would have a reason to have one unless he planned to get rid of a body, but maybe changed his mind. Or maybe someone else was supposed to do it while he was out of town.
In my teeth. When I was hearing Steve Fisher talking about, nope, they did not seize the home incinerator. They did not seize the chainsaw. They did not fingerprint them. They did not luminol them. I mean, that's bad police work right there, that they just took pictures of them. Because, you know, juries, they want to look at it. They want to touch it, hold it, feel it, smell it, the whole shebang. But then I was heartened when I heard him say it was sent to a fake name to somebody that doesn't live there, to this address, and it was accepted by someone in that home, which tells me there is a digital trail, Danny Rubin. It proves a lot.
I mean, what it can prove is the account that ordered it. It doesn't necessarily prove who ordered it. I mean, when I look at a case like this, I look at who's got the most to lose here. David had to know that if he is the one that would be culpable for this, he'd be the first one to be looked at. My question is, who's the second or who's the third? That's the person I'd want to investigate as his defense attorney.
You would want to investigate them to what? Just let's pretend for a moment that you're David Anthony Burke's lawyer. You want to look at everybody around him. So let's just be real here. So you can pull a SOD. Some other dude did it defense. So you're looking around at everybody else. Is that what you're saying? Just be straight.
Well, my question is, what if someone else actually did do it? I mean, his two managers are around him all the time. They're the ones that are economically invested. Robert Morgenroth was actually, as far as I've read, called to testify at the grand jury, and he was recorded saying, "Why didn't I call the police?" Yes, the manager.
Okay, so you know they tried and it worked in the Top Mom Casey Anthony murder case when she got her mother, Cindy Anthony, to go on the stand under oath and fall on her sword and take the blame for the highly damning searches for how to make chloroform. She said that she wrote chlorophyll, not chloroform, and that the computer spell checked her because she wanted to get rid of bamboo in the backyard. It made no sense at all. That said, it worked in that case, so I can't poo-poo it that quickly. Brian Fitzgibbons is joining us now, Director Operations, USPA Nationwide Security. Brian, you also, in your search for people all around the world, are an expert at digital forensics. Brian, what should they be doing right now to determine who ordered?
And like I said, if they were able to tell that she wasn't pregnant, allegedly, why can't they get, I'm really confused on what's taking so long.
The burn cage.
Yeah, I want to applaud Steve Fisher, Nancy, and the work that he's done, and identifying that the purchase was made with these gift cards, that it was delivered to a fictitious name or a name that wasn't at the residence. You know, this is going to provide investigators with a good foothold to begin that forensic search and subpoena these purchase records of what date this burn cage was purchased, on what IP address was the system access. They're going to be able to get quite a bit of information off of that purchase. And I think that you will see that provided that this moves forward to trial.
Yeah, you know what? You brought up another issue, Brian Fitzgibbons. Thank you. I was so taken by the fact that this was obviously ordered online. I wonder if they're going to be able to find where the purchaser watched that YouTube video Fisher just told us about, how the home fire cage can burn dead carcasses. Question to you, Steve Fisher, owner, founder of Steve Fisher SF Investigations. Steve.
First, Liberty says, I have a good idea why it's taking so long, but there's zero possibility to explain it sufficiently. Oh, okay.
How do you know that it was bought with gift cards?
No, so I want to be clear. From what we've uncovered, it looks to us like it was purchased with gift cards from, the communications that we've had. I can't say that 100% for certain, but it appears that that's how it was done. But, we haven't
What
gotten
kind of gift cards? Please say Amazon. What kind of gift cards? American Express, Visa, Home Depot?
Yeah, one of those you go to Target and buy like a prepaid Visa or Amex or whatever, like that. Just something that doesn't have your name attached to it. Although you do have to, I guess, technically register it, but you can use that in anybody's name. But I'll bet you that there is an email address that they formed this person's name, this fake name. So, and then that'll probably reside on one of those computers. And, I think they'll be able to
I accept it if it's a fake name, because they knew who it was.
It all back to them. I don't think these are geniuses by any means.
You said that you can't say gift cards were used 100%, but that you have personally done, you and your team have done investigations that lead you to believe that gift cards were used. You're telling me the gift cards were not to a specific store such as Home Depot or Lowe's. You're telling me they were of the variety that you can go to Target and get like American Express or Visa gift cards. Is that correct?
Yes, right. Yes.
Okay, which leads me to believe that they were bought at Target. Were they bought at Target?
Oh, I honestly have no idea about that. I'm just saying that, like they're a seller of those. I don't know where they bought the gift cards at, but they were delivered, through a, delivery service, like you order online, and it appears that they use DHL to ship this, item.
To ship the gift cards or to ship the burn cage?
The burn cage. The burn cage. So I think it's going to be fairly easy to track it back.
Okay. Karen Stark joining me, forensic psychologist, renowned TV radio trauma expert, consultant at KarenStark.com. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Can't you just see? There's going to be video, right?
Nancy's really not wrong. She really not wrong here. All the puzzle pieces are there. They fit, but there's no one to put them together. How can this even be happening? Something isn't right. I agree, Augie. I agree.
Have cameras everywhere, specifically on the registers. Can't you just see this merry troop slinking into a store and getting all these gift cards, which is, they think, so sneaky because it's not in their name? I wonder if they paid in cash, or did they charge it? Oh, I hope they charged it. Trying so hard to cover up, yet leaving a trail a mile wide for somebody like Steve Fisher to find.
It's very clear that these people were disorganized, Nancy. I mean, nobody really understood.
If they are disorganized criminals, why have they not been arrested? You know what I mean?
How could you leave even the body in a car and keep moving the car around and not think that somebody would notice, especially where they were? And if you consider the fact that she was dismembered, and then you also look at the fact that someone ordered a chainsaw, somebody ordered this burn incinerator, it's very telling that there was intent, or at least it seems that way, that they turned this body, it was dehumanized. And they were looking for any way, according to me, it seems, to get rid of the body without even thinking about this as a person.
Back to Steve Fisher, following up on what Karen Stark, psychologist, said. Steve Fisher, isn't it true that D4VD, aka David Allen Burke, was going on tour? So if Celeste was already dead, they wait and they wait and they wait, and the home incinerator doesn't show up. They're like, hell, let's put her in the trunk. That's going to be the argument. Of course, they're all presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, you know what? Back up and punt. And she ends up in the trunk. Can't you just see that playing out, Fisher? Then the incinerator comes a day late, $1 short. Should have used FedEx. But no, they used DHL. What about it, Fisher?
Yeah.
You guys are making good points because they have zero room for doubt. They need to have zero room. California made changes to the law that affects accomplice liability without a witness or something like that connecting anyone to the crime. The investigation is harder now. See, now they're saying seems, so it leaves room for doubt on the obvious.
Personally, I think the incinerator was already there. I think this became a case of them chickening out. They or whoever was supposed to do it didn't do it, and then they just ran out of time. I mean, this is what
maybe the person that was supposed to do it ran out of time, and then they put her in the trunk and moved her from place to place.
baffles me about the whole case. We're talking about people that are, quite frankly, idiots, and now how is it taking this many months to be able to put this case together to become chargeable? Because these are not people that pulled off a perfect crime, and this is the part that really baffles me. Is it's so sloppy, yet there's apparently not enough to charge them yet. I don't understand.
PI Steve Fisher claimed,
if this goes unsolved, I will freak out.
He found a burn cage incinerator and a chainsaw inside the home rented for Burke by his manager. Employed by the property owner to determine what took place in his house, Fisher uncovered the items still in their original packaging and were unused. The incinerator is illegal in Los Angeles, delivered to the residents under a fake name, and claims to reach a temperature of 1,600 degrees.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. The Fed has dropped interest rates. You can an investigation. Good luck.
We don't even know really when Celeste was last seen alive. We don't know how long she was dead for.
Police sources believe Celeste was killed back in the spring. Her body found in his Tesla trunk. She's dead, dismembered, turning into nothing but good.
These videos right here, you would think would be enough to charge him with something.
At first, we were told, the grand jury is just conducting an investigation. Not true anymore. Listen.
A recent report said the grand jury hearing testimony about the death of Celeste Rivas was an investigative grand jury that helps gather evidence, but does not indict. Now, new information indicates Burke will face murder charges for the death of Celeste, and the grand jury hearing the case right now is going to be asked to hand down an indictment. An investigative grand jury can be useful to subpoena and then force uncooperative witnesses to testify. And sources now say the grand jury hearing witnesses is actually one that will vote on indictments. And these sources indicate prosecutor Beth Silverman, among others, believes Burke was involved in the death of Celeste.
So let me understand, to Dave Mack joining us, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Dave, we were first told this grand jury was just an investigative grand jury, that was gathering evidence on Celeste's death. Now we're learning an indictment looms, and it is a homicide indictment. I never had any doubt that this grand jury was going to seek charges. Do I have that right, Dave Mack? We're expecting a grand jury indictment to come down.
That's what everything is pointing towards, Nancy, right now, expecting an indictment to be handed down for homicide.
Danny Rubin, you have dealt with many, many grand jury indictments. I don't know if you're a former prosecutor, but were you a former prosecutor at any point, Danny?
No, defense attorney.
Yeah, so when Rochelle says they haven't been arrested yet because they have good lawyers and a record label behind them. So money talks here, eh?
From the very beginning, but I've dealt with the aftermath.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Long story short, if the grand jury is meeting to indict, not just investigate, that means they have to pick a charge, Reuben. They've got to go with, if it's homicide, murder 1, murder 2, voluntary or involuntary. And then, of course, there's felony murder. They've got to pick between those charges. They could indict in the alternative, which means a murder 1 with a murder 2 and a voluntary or even involuntary, all in the same indictment so a jury can pick. So if they're going to go with murder 1, go with me, Reuben, go with me. That means they either got the COD from the body, which was decomposed, and they know there was either a gunshot wound, a broken hyoid bone to suggest asphyxiation, something in toxicology, a knife nick to one of the bones. They've either got it from the body itself or they've got a witness to say she was murdered and this is what happened. Because they got to indict on those few choices, murder 1, murder 2, voluntary, involuntary. That's all the choices there are for homicide. To do murder 1 or murder 2, they had to find something from the body or a witness. What do you think?
And I believe the autopsy was sealed, if I'm not mistaken. That's also rather suspect.
I think if they had something from the body, they would have been bringing charges a lot sooner.
But maybe not because she was a child.
It seems like if they're looking into indicting for homicide, whichever one they pick, they probably got some information from a witness that they questioned over the past month or two. I know they're going to be calling back witnesses in February. That's what I read. So it seems like they're still trying to find more evidence. But if they're looking to switch that investigation now, it's probably because of something someone said, possibly in conjunction with something they found on the body.
Dave Mack, speaking of witnesses before the grand jury, isn't it true that witnesses, at least one, has refused to come to the grand jury? Isn't that true?
Absolutely true, Nancy. And they've gone so far as to threaten to arrest her if she won't come in.
Danny Rubin, I'm just wondering, let's just put together the pieces here, Reuben. A witness stated that she refused to come to the grand jury. An order went out to either bring her in, have her arrested, give her immunity if she was facing charges herself. Therefore, she would have no reason to take the Fifth Amendment from the grand jury, or charge her with contempt. If you're a target, you can be given immunity and forced to testify because you have no Fifth Amendment right to remain silent if you're not going to be charged. Or if you're just a witness, you can be held in contempt and jailed until you testified. Okay, so that word goes out, and the next thing you know, an indictment is being handed down. Sounds to me like they got the witness testified, and now we're looking at a homicide indictment.
That could be it. I mean, like I said before, it could be something in conjunction with what they found in the body. It could be some combination of testimonies. But this is why we have subpoena powers, because both the prosecution and defense, prosecution and grand jury, defense at trial and preliminary hearing, we need that to bring in witnesses who can testify. And many times we can't get what we need without those witnesses. So it's a very big stick that we have to bring witnesses in that we need.
Danny Rubin, you have a question for Steve Fisher?
Yeah, Steve, when you investigated the home where David was reportedly living, Was there anything else of note that you found? Anything still in its wrapper? Anything that was looked like it had not been taken out of its packaging?
No, besides those two items, there was a couple full respirators, almost like gas masks at the house, but they were out of the package. Don't know exactly what they were for, but those were the two, most damning things for sure. There was a lot of stuff left behind that was of value, such as the memory card with all the photos, but nothing that really was like, what would that be doing here?
Joe Scott Morgan joining me, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, star of Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, we're learning a lot tonight. Okay, we knew that there was a chainsaw. We knew that there was a home incinerator. We didn't know that it had been purchased with gift cards anonymously and that it had been sent under a fake name. Now we know that purchase can be traced, and we can find out, hopefully, if there's video, who bought the gift cards and where and when. What does this mean to you forensically? What can we prove with this new evidence?
Well, I think certainly with the gift cards in particular, because that is something that can be digitally traced. And just let me remind everybody, these gift cards can be picked up anywhere. It doesn't have to be at a big store. You can walk into a gas station and buy these things. So, but the
gift card definitely makes it seem like somebody was trying to hide something and then they accepted it under a different name or a fake name at David's house.
Side with
but
this,
it can be traced, Joe Scott, the location of where the gift card, they got numbers on them like guns, for Pete's sake. You can find where a gift card was purchased.
Yeah, and it gets and the digital evidence here gets very granular. And so it's going to be very specific. You can put a really tight pin in this thing. Also, the initial purchase, the utility of these things, and then you track along with the purchases that are made. Now, I'm going to use a term here, and I'm sure you'll slap me down for saying this. I got to tell you, Nancy, from a legal standpoint, the things I've heard attorneys say in the past with these boxes of unopened items, when you think about the chainsaw and this burn box and these sorts of things, this almost smacks of like an inchoate offense. I don't know. I think I'd like to know your opinion of that, but there's planning going on, perhaps, if they can prove that. And maybe there is intent, but they just couldn't complete the act here. Going back to what Steve had said earlier, this seems like old reference here, the apple dumpling gang. They just can't get anything right. They're just kind of falling on their faces. No one can pull the trigger. There's not a leader. It's just like they push this.
Did they mean to put her dispose of her body in the incinerator, and that's why she ended up being moved from place to place and in the trunk? And then found in the trunk?
Thing off in the ether, and maybe she'll just disappear. I don't know. Because I got to tell you, out of all the cases I've covered, I've never seen anything, first off, take this long. You've got a lot of elements here of movement with the body, going to Karen's point of disrespecting the remains to this point. And then you have all these other elements where no one could finish the job.
Okay, you refer to inchoate.
And what about
from the Latin verb
cameras, guys? Like, I don't own a Tesla, but don't they have cameras and all of that? I know they could do black box, like full-blown reports. Tesla can. I'm just wondering, did the cameras on the Tesla not see anything when the trunk was opened, etc.?
Cohere, which means in its inception, in its beginning, just starting. So I see this. If any of this is borne out by the facts, and again, David Burke is presumed innocent until proven guilty. The beginning of the destruction of the body went because the burn cage and the chainsaw, and we do know she was dismembered where you come in. They obviously did not use a chainsaw. Hey, Steve Fisher, was the chainsaw also still in the package?
It had the protective shield over the blade. It wasn't in an actual package, but it's but it had the protective shield over it.
Okay, so it had never been used, which suggests that it's new. And we keep talking about, hey, do you do your own landscaping? Maybe, obviously, he didn't do his own landscaping, but if you had a landscaper that was going to use that, I mean, that could be a defense, but it was.
I agree with you, First Liberties. Maybe David didn't do it, but the last guy who had his car may have done it and then decided to drop off the car and leave. I was thinking that. I was thinking it was somebody who was involved.
Never used, which suggests it also was just bought and will probably be traceable. That said, 𝐭
You guys have to remember there's adults and we don't know what those adults are like and what their intentions are. And this is a child being around them. So already right off the bat, there's grape. There's why are you hanging out with a minor, et cetera, right? So aside from everything else that Celeste may have been involved with David and his people obviously knew her. So there's many motives, I think, for anyone to want to get rid of her. That was around David, and that's just in my opinion.
I see it as evidence of destruction of the body, tampering with a corpse, which is also a felony, which is a separate offense from the homicide itself. I think we're going to see a very involved and intricate indictment, which deals with the actual death of Celeste and disposing of her body. And you're right, Joe Scott, the attempt to get rid of her body was incoherent. It had just started and it's leaving a trail. The cover-up will likely be indicia, proof of the crime itself. Wouldn't you agree with that? Maybe they just got tired of waiting to get all of the items, the burn cage, the chainsaw, and went, just put her in the trunk, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And
or maybe they didn't have time to put her in the incinerator again, or something came up. David was leaving town. I think whoever moved the Teslas got scared to carry out the final act while he was on tour and couldn't move the Teslas because they lost the key card. Yeah, I think whoever was supposed to moved the Teslas or supposed to do something with the Tesla, yeah, I think they got freaked. Or something happened for them not to be able to carry out because then they abandoned the Tesla, right? And who abandons a Tesla? Like, there's no way David would know. Like, it's a Tesla, your car.
I think that's probably the case here. There's also one more issue to this, and this is rather gruesome. It's not that the rest of this hasn't been. It's just that who's going to draw the short straw here? Who's going to put this cage together, which, by the way, is very easy to assemble? Who's going to put the thing together, and then who's going to finish up the process of rendering down her body to the point where it's manageable to go in here? And also they think, oh my Lord, this is going to create a smell that no one is going to be able to escape.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here.
Social media
With us, including gavel-to-gavel coverage with real.
They've got this thing down to a timeline that's almost by the minutes triangulated to the location, if you can believe that. And it's not just one source. When I say triangulated, it's media, social media, cell phone, Tesla, other, and all I'll say is other kind of GPS tracking devices.
You're seeing Harvey Levin's Two Angry Men podcast with 𝐼𝐞𝐥𝐿, veteran defense attorney. I mean, Melissa McCarty.
And whoever moved the Tesla or had an only key to that house, obviously David trusted them and was in cahoots with them. David, sorry. Steve also insinuated that whoever moved the Tesla was also the person who had the only key to that. I believe that. And unless it's someone you trust, who are you going to be letting borrow your Tesla in your house?
Joining us, investigative journalist, all of the people that lived in that home or were in and out frequently can be identified. Fisher has video of the person moving the Tesla around the neighborhood. He knows who that is. He saw the face. He's not saying. So don't you know that what 𝐭𝐥𝐿 and Levin said is true? They've got it down to a timeline by the minute. You think any one of those D4VD cohorts is going to go anywhere without their phone or their Apple Watch or their nav system in their car. Oh no, they travel as a pack and they're all traveling together, Melissa.
Nancy, I think we're going to see more than one person.
Yeah, that's a good, Master says, had the gas mask to keep the smell out. I didn't think of that until you said that. The only thing I question is, was Rob on tour with David? Because I heard he was on tour with Hannah. Could be. But I mean, has that been like verified? Ooh, that complicates things. And the only ones on the tour bus were David, Asia, and Neo. Interesting. I wonder how many other people
and charged in this case. And that's what's so great about the grand jury phase. To me, this comes across as a case where a lot of people aren't forthcoming. They don't want to talk. So you need subpoenas to force them to get on the stand so prosecutors can lock in their theories, lock in their timelines, take all of the digital forensic that they've been gathering since September.
Somebody doesn't want to talk because they're involved or know people that are heavily involved.
And really piece together what they believe to be true. So I think more than one person will be charged at the end of this grand jury.
What about it, Steve Fisher? Why won't you tell me who was driving that car? I said in a previous evening that I was misled.
Why do I have a feeling it was the manager driving that car? I don't know.
It was not misled by you. You're correct. The car was moved this date and that date to this location, that location. I was misled by our own analysis that she was killed she died just before the car started moving. She could have been dead much before that she was placed in the car, before the car was moving. Now, back to my query. Why aren't you telling people who was moving the vehicle? I guess you testified to that in front of the grand jury.
I'm not even sure what a grand jury is, but the reason that I did is because I don't want people. If I did say that, I don't want people to think that she was just killed like that. I believe that her death could go back as far as January, and
January, and hiding the body for that long is sick.
This person I'm certain will be held accountable, but I also don't want somebody to take it into their own hands, because this is moving super slow and it's frustrating, and I just think it's a safer, way to go.
You know why, Steve Fisher? Because I think Melissa McCarty is right. I think a lot of people are going to be charged, including possibly named as unindicted co-conspirators, in order to get their testimony, give them immunity to get.
I do believe this could be what's taking so long, as there's a lot of people involved here.
Them to testify.
And maybe not just with the crime, but just knowing things of David and about David.
This as money woes rear their ugly head.
EA Sports, the biggest name in sports video games, quietly removes Burke's song, "What Are You Waiting For?" from Madden NFL 26. The legendary football game features a soundtrack when released in August 2025 that positions Burke's cut between BIA and Alex Warren on the playlist, but now the song has vanished from the list. No announcement explaining the reason behind the move.
Dave Mack joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Is that why we are hearing about boo-hoo money woes?
I think it's just the tip of the iceberg, Nancy. Remember, when all of this started, he was on his first worldwide tour. He was only 2 or 3 days into it when everything broke and it stopped. This was the end of the career. No money's been coming in since then, or at least it's not nearly what it was. So, yeah, money woes, absolutely.
So every time somebody played Madden NFL 26, it's a legendary football game, they would hear David Burke's song, "What Are You Waiting For?" It played every time somebody played the game. Is that right, Dave Mack?
Well, they created a playlist of songs.
We have someone who actually is familiar with Tesla. Teslas have cameras everywhere. So where's that Tesla report or black box report about who opened the trunk, when, what time? I've always been curious about that. He got cross tattooed after he killed her on his hand. I believe that. Money seems to be worth more than a life. Wow.
Nancy, so yes, it was one of several, kind of like on an album, you have several different artists on there.
Is
and
that
his
a
was
yes?
placed
Could you just give me a yes, no, please?
Yes.
Okay, so yes. So every time that song is played, D4VD makes, let's just pretend, $1, a penny. That's a lot of money because that is a huge, huge game in sports video games. He's lost all that money. That's the tip of the iceberg. But I think he's got bigger fish to fry than losing money off Madden NFL 26. If you know or think you know anything about this case, no matter if you think it's insignificant, doesn't matter, please.
Wow, that is a really good Nancy Grace episode. I'm sure they can disable the cameras. I did hear like sometimes too, it depends the time and settings. They know. Triple P knows because he's very familiar with Tesla company. Tesla has records of anyone who goes in and out. See what I mean? Tesla knows who's involved. Okay, we got another short clip that I want to watch about 5 major updates. Let me play this. Please hit the like button, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
House. I've done other testing at the house, and there's nothing there that I would say it looks like this is a crime scene, a violent crime scene. But I can tell you, I have seen that document. It is legit, and it did say murder.
As David is constantly in the news, especially now that it's being reported that he may likely be indicted in connection with the death of a teenage girl apparently found in the trunk of a car registered in his name, we are bringing back somebody who's been looking into this case for quite some time. Somebody who has been on the ground in LA. Someone who has been making news regarding his findings. We're talking about private investigator Steve Fisher. Not only will Steve tell us what he has learned since the last time we spoke to him, but he may have now found the last known photo of this deceased girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Welcome to Sidebar.
It's like her autopsy because they are building a case on more than one person.
Presented by Law and Crime, I'm Jesse Weber.
But if I was someone involved and all of this was going down, I don't know, would you snitch? Would you be the one to give up the information? Do you want to go to prison for the rest of your life?
Okay, before we get into this, it is the new year, and when
you know what I mean?
Bring on a
I'm going to fast forward to that.
Key figure in this investigation, somebody we haven't had on for quite some time, the private investigator, the PI, Steve Fisher, who was hired by the owner of that property that the romantic homicide singer was apparently staying at in the Hollywood Hills, this property that was reportedly near where the Tesla was found with 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body inside. That car was allegedly registered to David, who, by the way, has not been arrested. He has not been charged at the time of this recording. He's not been officially implicated. But as we last reported, there is apparently a grand jury that has been hearing evidence out in LA. And according to TMZ, now it is being reported that David will likely face murder charges.
I agree with you, Alicia. Why would the police refrain from getting this guy? A lot of stuff will not be released because she was a minor. Absolutely. And I think that's why the autopsy stuff was sealed. But again, the whole pregnancy thing always sticks on my mind. I always say this because if they can tell that she was pregnant, they should be able to see other stuff, right? On the body or the remains or find.
That this grand jury may be handing down an indictment, despite previous reporting that the alleged grand jury hearing the evidence was a different kind of grand jury, one that can't formally charge. So now it is possible things may have changed. And we don't know for sure if there's a grand
So I guess there's a difference between, I'm not a lawyer, but a grand jury and an investigative grand jury.
We don't know for sure if they would come down with charges against David or anybody else. And we don't know for sure what those charges would be. So we're just basing it on the reporting.
The pigtails.
Now, I will note, it has also been reported that the grand jury may be hearing evidence into
And
next
I do
month
agree with this
as well.
statement as well from Master. LAPD can also legally lie about anything they want. And LAPD is known for being a little shady. You can tell if you are pregnant through blood. So then they should know if there was rugs in her system, etc. Correct? for talks report.
Also February. So maybe if all of this is true, we won't even see an indictment just yet. But look, as we are on the lookout to see if David or anyone else is arrested or charged in connection with Celeste's death, I do want to talk to Steve Fisher. I want to talk to him about the latest developments. There's a lot, including when he posted something about a 55-pound burn cage being delivered to that property that David was seemingly staying at, that a chainsaw was found. But Steve also may have the last known photograph of Celeste. Remember, she was reported missing from her home in Lake Elsinore on April 5th, 2024. This is when she was just 13 years old. However,
and I don't mean to be like rude and victim blame here, but like if her family knew she was dating someone older and knew she was with David, I think some accountability needs to be held there by law enforcement. But that's just me.
There has been footage released of her seemingly arguing with her family's neighbors on.
And if they couldn't control her, run away, etc., bad behavior, I mean, I think there's resources to help, correct? Or no?
September 8th, 2024. So the timeline has always been interesting. It's always been important. It has been confusing, especially since it's believed that Celeste was in the trunk of that Tesla for quite some time. A couple months ago, that LAPD came out with a statement that said in part, quote,
like flip the script if it was one of us or our kids like dating someone was dating our teenage daughter and you're aware and there's a big age difference, then you know right from wrong, you know what the law is. I think it's clear in that sense, right?
The vehicle had been parked at the location from which,
like, if one of us, if somebody hypothetically dated a 13-year-old boy, like, you know that that's wrong.
It was towed for several weeks. So Miss Rivas Hernandez may have been deceased for several weeks before the discovery of her body. Now, to be clear, the cause and manner of death for Celeste and the records related to her from the ME's office, the medical examiner's office, they are currently sealed. And this is due to a court order that was initiated by the LAPD.
She was living in a broken home. I think we can all agree on that to some extent. Her family needs to take some responsibility. Yeah. And if they just were handing her off because they couldn't deal with her, that's messed up, you guys. That's a crime in itself. You don't just let a 13-year-old go hang out with a, 19-year-old, 20-year-old? I don't know how the hell. Old enough. You know what I'm saying? Older.
Okay, so with all that in mind, time to bring back on Steve Fisher. Steve, really good to see you. It's been a minute since we've had you on. A lot has been happening. So first of all, where are you in your investigation? I mean, since the last time we spoke, what is there anything new you can tell us? I mean, where are you right now in your personal investigation?
So we continue to investigate it and talk to new people. Just as of yesterday, we were contacted by somebody that's actually ends up being very close to David and had a relationship with him around that time. So we're continuing to get new information, to learn more about, those events and who was around at that time and who was living.
I think the pregnancy thing could still be a thing as well. Like, I wouldn't doubt it if they end up saying she was pregnant after all. There's a guy on YouTube made a video about that yell at people next door. He kind of showed a big belly. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a motive. I really wouldn't. But is murdering someone better than raping a child and getting her pregnant?
At the house and not living at the house. So it continues. More people keep popping up that weren't even on our radar.
And just to be clear, whatever information you're gathering, is that something that you're sharing with law enforcement, with the DA's office? Is there anything you can tell us about what information you're sharing with them as we're trying to understand what's happening behind closed doors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that we determine is not just noise. I mean, obviously get a lot of, people calling, with the information that's not relevant, theories or remote viewers and stuff. But the people that are tied, we pass that right along to authorities, to their investigators. They don't tell us the outcome of what they follow up or not, but we do absolutely make them aware, because this is not about collecting information and getting it out to the public first or not getting it or keeping it private. It's about justice for Celeste in the end, right? So we are definitely giving all the information to authorities.
Do you have any further insight into where David is right now?
And this is a good point, Alicia, you make. You make a jail inside your house to keep her locked up and keep her away from her family, right? If you're a wealthy celebrity, what family wouldn't be fazed by that? You know, they would be like, oh my God, like he has money. Was he paying people off? I mean, we don't know all of these facts, but I could see it. Hollywood and money is sick and demented and deprived.
I don't, you know, I could just speculate. I know that not long after they canceled the tour and this whole thing came crashing down, I believe he was in the LA area because when he transferred those homes in Texas into a trust, those were notarized by an LA notary. So at time, it appears he was in LA, but whether he is in Texas or LA or who knows where, I would think that LAPD probably has a good idea, but I don't have any idea. And I'm shocked. One of the biggest things in this whole case, I'm just amazed that he's kept such a low profile and had that restraint to not make any public statements or lash out online.
And I agree with the statement he's saying that he hasn't made any statements, hasn't been caught out in public, and her family hasn't either. Her family hasn't made any statements. So I'm wondering, have the courts and law enforcement, you know, asked them to keep quiet, which absolutely is probably true because they're trying to build a case, right? And find out who did this to Celeste. For me, bad enough he was dating a teenager, and in all her videos and a lot of what we've seen, I do have a David playlist. We've covered a lot of that stuff, but
yeah, I haven't heard anything from him. I haven't heard anything from his reported attorney, Blair Burke, regarding any of this. Before I get into this photo of Celeste, which I think is really important.
And that's true. I said that earlier. Money wins. It is. It's a very powerful thing, and fame is as well. I think her family's too scared. A family with no pull versus a huge label. Exactly.
When you hear TMZ reporting that a grand jury has been assembled and they're now saying that it is likely that he could be charged with murder, based on your investigation, would you say?
And I relate to the big label things because we've seen it in the Diddy case. We saw it with the Britney Spears. We've seen it with a lot of child artists. Label companies are powerful. A lot of money. Yeah, and it's huge. That's right, Storm. Huge.
That doesn't seem likely, or do you say, and I know you might be limited in what you can reveal to us, but when you hear something like that, do you say they seem far off? They might be on the right track. I can't talk about it because that was a very big headline.
Sure. So as far as murder goes itself, as a subset of homicide, right? I do think it's likely, and here's why. It has nothing to do with if there may be grand juries or not. When that rumor first broke, which I believe was from the LA Times, it was from a document that was filed to seal the medical examiner's records that was filed with the LA courts. There was a short window of time that filing itself was released by the clerk's office. And I'll tell you, I've seen the original document, and in the motion, it uses the word murder. So, and that was a public document at the time. Now I know it's been sealed, but it didn't say homicide investigation. It actually said murder. So just based off that, not any.
Maybe we can do a panel, Storm, and have you and FloJo come up here and talk about this case, because I have many theories as well.
Anything I have found,
I
can
grew
tell
up
you.
in a Hispanic household. Sometimes I was troubled, so I have my theories as well, and my opinions.
So I've luminoled the house. I've done other testing at the house, and there's nothing there that I would say it looks like this is a crime scene, a violent crime scene. But I can tell you, I have seen that document. It is legit, and it did say murder.
Yeah. So just assuming that for a moment, right? What changed? The LAPD came out at one point, I think it was like 2 months ago, and said there might not be anything beyond concealment of a body. Any idea what may have changed to suggest that Celeste was killed?
The only thing I think about this a lot too. The only thing I can think of is that somebody flipped it, because if they had all of a sudden run across some sort of biological evidence or some crime scene, I think the charges would have dropped pretty quick. But you're right. They went from, hey, there might not be any culpability beyond concealment of a body, which is a misdemeanor, to all of a sudden, not just homicide, but murder. And so something changed there. And I think they would have already charged if they had a murder weapon or a scene or whatever. So I think it's got to be based on somebody's cooperating, somebody cut a deal.
And not just the findings from the ME's office, which we don't know what they are.
Yeah, we don't know what they are because they sealed those. I do think that I know most people speculate that it's undetermined. I personally, and I don't have any inside information on this, I do believe that they were able to make a determination.
Oh my God, he said just what I've been thinking the whole time. If they were able to tell she's pregnant, they know other stuff. Asia Rob. I agree, Storm. I agree.
I know her remains were in very bad shape, but if you go back to the death certificate said that, she wasn't pregnant. Well, that means they were able to get that hormone test, or they were able to inspect the internal organs enough to determine that. So the fact that they were able to get that means I think they were able to get a good toxicology test. So I do think that they probably made a determination. And once they made that determination is when LAPD went in and got those petition to get that sealed on the 21st, I think it was.
Yeah. So again, just trying to understand what that change might have been. Okay. So I'll go back to that in a second. I have to talk about this new photo of Celeste that you apparently found. So talk to us about what this photo is, where you discovered it, and when was it taken? Do you know?
Yeah. So it was taken January 2nd of 2025. It was on a...
if she was unalived or whatnot in January, and then her body was found in September, was it? Yo, that's sick.
SD card, a memory card that goes into a camera that was after they moved out of the house that was left behind. And it had, I think, about 1,100 photos on it. Various things, only a handful that included Celeste. And this was the last that we had previously released one that was, I think, on the 30th of December of her downtown. Presumably he took the picture. This is a photo of the Baldwin Hills Scenic Overlook, which is kind of a hiking area in Culver City, kind of in the heart of Los Angeles. And it's about 5:05 p.m., January 2nd. And it's a profile photo of her. To me, it's just very sad. She looks lost. She looks like a runaway to me, and like a confused runaway. And I don't know.
I couldn't agree more with him there. Like, what is a 13-year-old girl doing with someone like this? Money, I get it, and fame. I just don't know if any talks revealed anything they wanted to see, though. Exactly why maybe they haven't made an arrest, FloJo. Maybe they just saw that she wasn't pregnant. Maybe, I guess, the body was so deteriorated. Oh. Poor girl, man.
It just breaks my heart to look at that picture, but I do think it's important for the public to see it too, that she was, she was alive and she's a real person. And we're talking about somebody that really,
we have lots of stuff. Ooh, okay. I like that. They're forcing them to rat on David. Exactly. That's what the grand jury. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it was just David involved here.
It deserves justice.
100%. Do you know who took the photo?
I assume it's by David simply because it's his camera. And then there's pictures later that evening where he's taking them into a mirror and you can see that he's holding the camera and whatnot. So I assume it's him, but then I will say that there's a couple pictures immediately after that one of her on the camera of him. So I think that they were together, and just like they were on the 30th in downtown, I think they had these little excursions and took a lot of photos in hiking type of situations or out in the kind of foresty area. So
how does that factor into the timeline about what might have happened to her? I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, because, originally we reported, right, she had disappeared in 2024, and then there was this sighting of her with the neighbors. So how does this affect the timeline of understanding when she died?
Yeah. So originally people were thinking, well, maybe she died a week or so before she was found. And I originally had said, I think she was in there for months. And now
I agree with Steve Fisher on this, because the deterioration of the body, was there skin slippage? Did I read that, or am I getting the cases confused? Either way, she was in that trunk for a minute, or somewhere for a minute.
I know LAPD saying they think possibly springtime, it sounds like, reading between the lines. I think it could be as early as January. And I'm not saying that day on January 2nd, but a couple things happened on the timeline there. So we got January 2nd, the photos of her stop, and his behavior taking photos and whatnot kind of drastically changes around that time too. But then also the Tesla, the black Tesla that she's in, stops really being used and showing up. It used to show up in a lot of Instagram reels and photos and whatnot. And then it's being parked in different areas around the neighborhood. And not too long ago, I spoke with an estate manager from a house in the area, and they told me that they were talking about this smell. And this is the first I had heard from them. And she's like, we had a dog, one of the dogs died, and they buried it in the backyard. And it's a very large, backyard, but the Tesla would park in the area. And they said anytime we get over about 70 degrees or so, the backyard would get this horrible smell. And they thought,
dude, if I smell something, dog or not, I ain't a snitch, but I'm definitely calling the police.
That they had not buried the dog deep enough. And they were getting ready to unearth this dog and rebury it, but then the Tesla disappeared. And when I asked when this dog died, it was in February. And she said it was a very distinct, death smell.
It is a very distinct smell, and if you know, you know.
Now, once the Tesla disappeared in June, it got moved up to Bluebird, all of a sudden the smell went away. So I do think, January, then that happening in February, I do think, January to March is probably a sweet spot where something could have happened. And also they leased a new Tesla on February 1st.
Oh,
for my science classes, we dissected like lungs with cancer and stuff. And just that smell enough, I was literally vomiting. Like I literally had to take a break.
That's interesting too. I didn't know that. What about
yeah.
If you can
when the search warrant was served, we all of a sudden we saw on the news there was a red Tesla being pulled out of the garage and ran the DMV on it, and it comes back to Rob Morgenrath's manager, and it was leased on February 1st. So all of a sudden, January the Tesla stops being used for some reason. February, there's a new Tesla. This horrible smell starts originating after, February. So you got to wonder.
Right. And by the way, I should also let everybody know, if you haven't been following our coverage, Morgenroth allegedly testified in front of this grand jury as well, and allegedly said something in the hallways, being questioned by the prosecutor.
I don't know why, but spiritually, this man right here, the manager, gives off very sus vibes.
Why didn't notify more about what was going on? Let me ask you this. There's this conversation about, and LAPD seemed to confirm that David took this trip to Santa Barbara, right? So how would that factor into your timeline?
I can't figure out what the purpose of that trip would be, to be honest with you. I don't know if they went there to do something to her or to started deceased and, put her in some other form. Why bring her back again? Now, I will say that there's a lot of photos on this camera in the National Forest, but not in Santa Barbara, not terribly far from there, within 75 miles or so. But I don't know. The Santa Barbara thing is really confusing me. There seemed to be this total confusion of what to do with her, I guess, if they're making trips and then chickening out. And this is what baffles me of why there hasn't been an arrest yet. Because if they're that sloppy, they leave this girl in a Tesla in a neighborhood, they can't figure out how to get rid of her, then how do they not have the evidence yet to be able to drop some charges? Because it's so sloppy. It seems like there's got to be a ton of other evidence, because I know there's video stuff out there.
Well, you went public and mentioned the idea of
even just blood is a very foul smell. Smell comes and goes. Trust me, a woman OD'd in my room. Took a while to figure out rat in the walls or something else. Ugh, that's terrible, Esther. It's terrible. Ugh.
55-pound burn cage being delivered to that property that David was apparently staying at, that there was a chainsaw that was recovered. Now, to be clear, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? No evidence that those were used, but you would seem to suggest, hey, this goes to state of mind, this goes to planning, right? So you're talking about, one theory would be there was an effort to potentially dispose of her body, and maybe the car was towed before it could actually be used, right? I mean, that made news in the past few weeks.
I think that's, I believe that that's what happened. It's only my theory, but I believe that they were this was like one of the ideas. And I'm talking plural. I think there's multiple people involved, at least trying to dispose of her part of it. And I think one of the plans might have been, okay, what about if we cremate her? Or what if we do this? And so they ordered these things, and it was at least an option available to them, which they didn't put in motion. And then I do think that they probably got cold feet. We're afraid, where do we do it? Who does it? Like, should we just pay somebody to do it? How can we just get rid of the Tesla altogether, put it in a lake? And none of those plans, then all of a sudden it gets towed. And it's like, uh-oh, now what? But why they would leave the Tesla where they left it is mind-boggling.
I have to ask about this grand jury. Now, let's be clear about something. You may be very limited in what you can say. So anything you can't say, completely understand, but I have to ask. Can you confirm in any way whether you believe a grand jury, and maybe more specifically a grand jury that can return an indictment, is being impaneled right now and is hearing evidence?
That part, I did release some things on Twitter because I got a handwritten notice to appear for a notice or for orders.
And this part right here, where he's going to talk about him getting a handwritten notice, I feel like if they didn't know he was onto something, why would they involve him, right? If he was spreading misinformation, then I think that would be reported, or maybe he just knows too much.
Show cause on a contempt charge. And I put in that tweet that I had in the past appeared a couple times from a grand jury. I'm not saying it's a grand jury for this case or whatever case, but I was given this handwritten notice to show up. I was given it on a Friday and told to show up on a Tuesday. And I wasn't told what the charge, I wasn't the exact, what I was being accused of. So how could I hire representation? How could I defend myself? And I also said, listen, I flew in for this, I'll just say a meeting, right? And where I was given this piece of paper, I flew in from Georgia where I was on a search and rescue mission, and they knew I was flying out that evening. And I said, I can't, Tuesday, and you weren't even telling me what it's about. And there was no public docket about it. There was nothing. It was all very secretive, and it really worried me. And that's why I came out with it publicly, because I felt like people needed to know. It's the only protection I had, about this secret hearing going on. And I didn't show up for it. I still don't know to this day what happened in that hearing. I know that a hearing did apparently take place. I was told by somebody that was at the courthouse, but I don't know if there's a warrant for me. I have no idea.
So you can't say at this point in time whether you've been held in contempt of court and for what reason, right? That you can't say.
It's not even that I can't say. I don't know, because if I call the courthouse, there's no case number. I can't even check anything. Yeah. So it's like they're very well. A hearing did take place. So I'll just be honest. There was a reporter after I tweeted that. There was a reporter that showed up for the hearing that wanted to know what was going on, and they pushed it from the morning to the afternoon docket, and it was after the docketed cases, and then they were told to leave the courtroom. And so I don't know, and I can't call and find out because I don't have a case number, so I have no idea.
Also can't confirm this, but this is based on TMZ's
enforcement is keeping a lot of this close to the chest.
Reporting. They're saying that if there's a grand jury, that it's being spearheaded by career homicide prosecutor Beth Silverman. Now, for people who don't know, is she a big deal out in LA? I mean, what should we know about her as far as you know?
She is a big deal. She's the one who prosecutes most of the death penalty cases, the high-profile cases, and she is fierce and aggressive. And so it's the exact type of prosecutor you want to have in a case like this. It's also a really scary person to have in a situation like mine, where there's a potential secret contempt hearing going on, and that person may be spearheading as well. So this is what worries me, and that's why I want the press and everybody to know about it, because I don't think it should happen that way. But as far as David goes, if indeed he's indicted and she is the prosecutor on it, she doesn't lose, and she takes on tough cases and cold cases, and she gets convictions.
Well, thank goodness then we have someone here willing to defend Celeste.
Based on what you've seen, assuming for a moment there is a grand jury that's been impaneled and hearing evidence, and assuming it's a grand jury that can return an indictment, would you say we could maybe expect that multiple people would be indicted at the same time, that it's not just one person, that if you're talking about several people allegedly involved in what happened to Celeste, is that something we may expect?
Yes, and this is not and this isn't based on anything that I may or may not know about a grand jury or anything, but based on what I've seen evidence-wise, I'd be shocked if it's not multiple people. And I do think it'll all drop at one time. I don't think it'd be just like, one person and then start going after or the others. I think they're going to wrap them up at one time. I do think there's going to be one or two people that have really direct knowledge that are going to get immunity and unfortunately are going to not really pay a price for this. But I think that's the only way that they're going to get the main people.
I absolutely agree with him on that part.
And if an indictment or indictments drop, do you think that's when the Emmys findings and the cause and manner of death with respect to Celeste will be unsealed, and we and maybe Celeste's family will finally know what happened?
I don't think so. I think they're going to hold it tight. I think one of the reasons I know why they use investigative juries, grand juries, obviously, but also it's to avoid a prelim hearing where you have to kind of show that discovery and that evidence. And by past dealings and knowing conversations I've had with people involved on the prosecution side and the secrecy wanted, I think they're going to, until they absolutely have to disclose anything, I don't think they're going to, I think they're going to be very minimal on that. I do think the ME's office wants to put the information out, but they're,
For sure. They came out quite strongly about this court order and said it's so unusual. And there seems to be this battle between the ME's office and the LAPD. I mean, by the way, we reported about this, but there was mixed reporting. LAPD came out and said, despite the reporting that you're hearing about Celeste's body being frozen and her being decapitated,
I don't trust LAPD. I know that sounds crazy, but I just don't.
We're denying that. I mean, by the way, can you shed any light on that discrepancy?
Well, I thought that was a completely ridiculous thing from the start. I knew that was right. But also they came out with a statement saying that the purpose of getting the record sealed was not, to avoid transparency, but it was to make sure that detectives got the information before the public did. Okay, detectives now have that information, you got to believe. So why not now go ahead? If it's not a transparency thing, why not release it now? I just don't think they will. And I understand that they have their controls and whatnot, but if charges drop, it's, the people, the state of California versus, we all, this is something that we do have a right to know something about, and especially, and we should know if this person's still on the loose and they're a threat, or it could be a threat, we need to know about these things. I think some information, even a press conference, would be, well advised.
Before we wrap things up, before I let you go, I want to take it back to Celeste. You've been looking into this case for quite some time. What did you learn about Celeste Rivas Hernandez? What would you like the viewers to know about her and what her life was like, or short life? And B, have you had the opportunity to speak to her family or her friends? How are they doing at this point? So, if you could shed some light on that, that'd be really great.
I have talked to a couple people that were close to Celeste, not direct family members, but people that were very close. And in fact, some of the people that were involved in helping to find her first couple times she ran away. Celeste obviously was somewhat troubled, but the huge percentage of teenagers her age growing up, especially in these times, of course you get that. I'll tell you why I haven't reached out to her family, because I do want to be respectful of them. I know that they're mourning and whatnot. However, Celeste was not a true missing person. There was a missing persons report filed since 24, but she had appeared at home multiple times in between that time, and they knew where she was staying in Los
Period. This is what I said earlier. I agree with Steve Fisher here.
Angeles, and I have hard proof of that. I have text messages from family members. What they were doing was they didn't want a CPS investigation into her not going to school. So they left this report open, and I'm not blaming them, for what happened to her. But if they were having a problem controlling her, then there are systems in place through the school and the counseling system and whatnot that can help and assist. But I don't want to talk to them because I feel like I have to ask those questions, like, why did you allow this? And I think that would be kind of like, victim blaming. But, listen, there was a lot of failures along the way here. And David was kind of like green lighted, even by his managers. And, a lot of people knew, his friends knew she was underage, and they allowed this to happen. And then look where we're at,
Yeah.
And even now, who knows how many of those people are even talking? Are they still protecting David? It's crazy how nobody's come out and told the story yet.
That part. regardless of how we feel about Steve Fisher, at least he's speaking facts there. Okay, I'm going to play a little short clip by our friend Flojo, who has been in the chat today. Definitely make sure you go check Flojo out. This is a 4-minute clip that he put together. So let's watch this. Let me share.
So that we have of Celeste is January 2nd, 2025.
What's up, you guys? On January 2nd, private investigator Steve Fisher shared a critical update on X regarding the disappearance of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Fisher, who was hired by the homeowner of the Hollywood Hills home linked to singer David, has released a photo that's described as the last proof of life for Celeste. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at what this photo tells us and how it changes the timeline of a case that has shocked the public. Now, this is a tweet that Steve Fisher put out on January 2nd. It says, 1 year ago today, January 2nd, 2025 is the date of the last known photo my investigation has uncovered of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. It is important to emphasize that law enforcement investigators have access to more extensive resources and may very well have images or evidence from after this date. This is not to suggest that anything specific happened on that date, only that it is the last confirmed time and date stamped piece of evidence that I have showing when Celeste was alive. According to the image's metadata, the photo was taken at 5:05 p.m. on January 2nd, 2025. Geolocation analysis shows it was taken in Baldwin Hills, California. All right, you guys, so what you're looking at right here, this is the actual photo known as the last proof of life of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, as identified by Steve Fisher. So according to Fisher, this image represents the final photograph that his investigation has uncovered showing Celeste alive. This image shows Celeste standing along the pedestrian walkway of the Baldwin Hills Scenic Overlook. She's basically standing right next to a metal guardrail, and right across the street is a gated property. This photo appears to be taken in the daytime, and there's no crowds, there's no landmarks, nothing that's going to draw.
She was a child, a teenager.
Attention, just literally Celeste standing there. She even looks like she might even be on the phone. Now, to better understand this photo, you kind of have to understand like where this photo was actually taken. Right now, if you head over to this map right over here, there's only one parking lot here in the Baldwin Hills Scenic Overlook, and that's right here where this blue dot is. Now, the red X marks the approximate location where Celeste was standing when this photo was taken along that pedestrian walkway. Now, this is not a scenic overlook. This is not even a viewpoint. This is basically a private residence blocked by trees. This image here shown it basically illustrates exactly what her viewpoint would have been from that spot. So I'm standing here right about where we believe the photo may have been taken. Now, if you guys can see those two orange little stone entranceways for their gate, it's actually a lot closer than it appears in the video. But this appears to be right where she was at, standing when she took the photo. If you guys turn this way, right, and you guys wonder what she was looking at, there was absolutely no scenic route for her to view. So she was standing here, or even if she was standing, let's go down a little bit more and just say she was standing here, right? There really is nothing to look at. There's a little bit of a, view right there, but other than that, there's really not much to see out there. So I'm curious why she was standing there. Now, this photo does not explain what happened next. It doesn't even tell us why she was there. It doesn't even tell us who else was present at the time. And it doesn't even answer any questions about this case. All it does is give us some geographic context as identified by Steve Fisher. And sometimes the most revealing part of an image isn't what's happening in it, but maybe where it was taken. Obviously, I visited this spot because I wanted to see it for myself. And after seeing it in person, there was one thing that was clear. There's no view here. It's just a fence, a gate, and a private residence. So I wanted to ask you all, if there's no scenic reason to be standing at this specific gate, What do you think the purpose of that photo was? Do you think it was a genuine moment or a staged benchmark in a much darker timeline? Let me know in the comments below.
Ooh, staged. Staged. Staged, staged, staged. That hoodie is a ripped up designer $1,300 hoodie. I wouldn't doubt that. Wow. Shout out to FloJo for that video. That was really well done. That's awesome. Yeah, I do wonder what she was doing there. Man, this case is tough. It's heartbreaking as well. I wanted to do a little, I think, Melly, it was staged. I think so too. I think FloJo is onto something here. RIP Celeste, you know, I guess now they're doing something in February with another indictment or grand jury. We might not hear about this again until February. Justice for Celeste Rivas. So, and I think we can all agree that, you know, stuff that goes on in Hollywood is dark and gross for most of the time, staged. And he adjusted the color to make it look more gloomy. Staged, premeditation. Yeah. I hope we get some, I hope Celeste gets justice soon. I really do. It's been a long time. There's a lot going on with this case. And I'll definitely be back with another update. Yeah, I'm shook just with everything from her being a runaway to missing to the family to the burn cage to the relationship, the underage relationship, to the people knowing, to the manager knowing, to the Tesla being abandoned. I mean, none of it makes any sense to me. It doesn't. It's a mess, but I do believe law enforcement obviously knows more than they are willing to tell at this point. So let's just hope that we get, hey Spinky, good to see you, love. We hope that we get justice for Celeste. The chainsaw in that burn thing. I can't remember who said it in the chat earlier that they use that for animals. Yeah, I don't understand that. And the fake name as well. And the gift cards. I do believe Steve Fisher on that. I do believe. Yeah, proof of life in that video, right? Anyways, justice for Celeste. Hopefully we get justice for her soon. He's guilty in my opinion. Guilty AF in my opinion. And I think everyone involved in that knew should be charged and that knew he was having a relationship with a minor. But anyways, shout out to all of you guys. Yep, a female name. And I'm curious whose name that was. And is it a real female, a fake female, a made up female, or someone on his team? I have questions. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to FloJo. Thanks, FloJo, for the super sticker. Thanks for hopping in a chat and letting us play your stuff. I'm going to definitely go check out your channel, as everyone else should as well. We support here at Mellyverse anyone that supports us. And the Red Stuff, the Homicide song, if you listen to his music, it's fairly dark. So I already thought that was sus from the beginning. But nonetheless, shout out to you, FloJo. Thanks for being here. Excellent live, excellent video by FloJo. Shout out to you guys for being here. Definitely will be making maybe another David live for this weekend. We have a lot. We have Kenzie this weekend. We have Gypsy Rose later today. And then we have an After Dark. So definitely make sure your notifications are turned on. Shout out to all of you and everyone supporting the channel. Thank you for being here. And I will see you guys on the next live.